Minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Well, hello, and sorry for leaving you in the lurch yesterday. It was not my intention, but I was taken down by, I don't know, some kind of bizarro bug. Not quite right, but here I am, such an intrepid soldier. A real stoic you're looking at here. So anyway. So I'm not feeling well yesterday, and then I thought, well, I better look at this Palin endorsement of Trump, just because it might be some good fodder. Do you know what? I could not watch. When you're not feeling well, you do not have the resources to take in. She makes him look good. She makes him look good. She makes him look coherent. That woman could have been the vice president of the United States. Jeez. Did you see it? Did you hear it? It was like incoherent craziness. Oy. Oh, okay, so now I'm nervous. Now I'm officially nervous. I am. He's possibly going to push Cruz back, and Cruz is going to win Iowa. He might be pushing him back. He's got the Iowa governor, good Republican, telling people do not vote for Cruz for not a good reason, because Cruz is against ethanol subsidies, which I think is good. Actually, Palin has mentored Cruz in the past and endorses him. And then think of this. Here is Palin, who became a national celebrity because John McCain made the biggest mistake of his life and elevated her to a national ticket. And then John McCain has stuck with her. He has never said he regrets it. He has never spoken ill of her, even though it is conceivable that without her he might have won. I don't know. Maybe. Generally, people who dig into the numbers say that she cost him 2% of the vote that he would have had. So I don't know where that then puts him if that puts him in the White House or not. But here's a guy who's never spoken ill of her, and she endorses the guy who has made fun of John McCain, said he was... I mean, what? I just... What awful people. What an awful person she must be. What a just simply awful human being. Oh. I wish I had some of her quotes here because, I can do the accent pretty good. Yeah, it's like Celine's wincing. Do you know? No, really. Chalk on a blackboard, anything would be preferable to listen. It's almost as though it's gotten worse in her absence from the national stage. I don't know. Just this. I kept trying to wonder. I was thinking, watching Trump, what's he really thinking in his head? I don't know. What the hell's going on under that bilious henna bouffant? Oh. Before I was struck down by whatever little bug this is that's invaded my body, I did enjoy watching part of the debate in Parliament on C-SPAN about whether or not to ban Trump from the UK. Man, I'll tell you, there were some impressive speeches that were given. Those guys do speak on a higher level, I do have to say, than our congressman. We got a call? Hello? Hello? No? Hello, hello? Hello, hello?
Hi.
Hi.
You know what the real nightmare would be?
What?
If Mr. Trump is elected president and he appoints Mrs. Palin to his cabinet.
Well, I don't think she'd want a cabinet job. I thought you were going to say, and he has her as his vice president.
Oh, that would be really interesting.
Interesting. That's one word for it. I don't know. He'll owe her if he makes it. And I can't believe we're even having this conversation, actually. Because I'm now starting to think he can get the Republican nomination. Dear God.
Yeah,
in
that's
heaven.
going to be interesting, too. Lindsey Graham's not going to support him. Jeb Bush is not going to support him.
No, none of the... No.
Cruz is not going to support him.
Well, and all those people you just mentioned wouldn't support Cruz either. I mean, you got a Republican Party that is... it's sort of like they're having a civil war. They really are. The party's, I don't know, potentially going to break apart here. It's something. You've got sort of a radicalization of their base. Their base is done with the party establishment. Finished, done. And once that happens, I don't know. Anything the establishment Republicans say just makes the base crazy. They want to take them on. They want to take them down. And
Yeah.
Donald Trump's their man. I don't know. And after watching Bernie Sanders with Hillary the other night, I'm not so sure the Democrats are much different this year. I think the Democrats might want to take down their establishment, too. I think this is going to be a very, for lack of a better word, interesting, as you had said, election.
Well, it's going to be a different election.
God knows.
All the rules of the past are gone.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at a New York Times piece from yesterday that is headlined, Why 2016 Will Be Unlike Other Elections. And they make quite clear that there is this, this rage in America on the left and on the right, and it's finally erupting. And no one knows what that's going to
Do you think Congress gets the message from all of this?
No. I don't. If they got the message, wouldn't they be already sort of altering their... I don't know. I don't even know what to say anymore. Congress seems like it doesn't even exist. It doesn't do anything. Right? I'm just... I'm nervous, to say the least. I am really nervous about all of this. I don't understand. I don't think any of these guys will get the message unless something really outrageous happens, like Trump gets the nomination or Trump becomes the president of the United States.
Or people try to take back the government.
Well, the way people do that, well, see, that's what they're threatening to do. But they're threatening. I mean, there's a threat that Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump will be the two. And in a Trump-Sanders race, I'm sorry, Trump wins.
That would be really interesting.
Why do we keep saying interesting? That's not the right word. There's another word, and it's more dire. That would be really, oh, dear God in heaven, scary. But anyway, fasten your seatbelts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
Thank you for the call.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. So this New York Times piece is obviously a sort of a analysis piece. And they say that on the Republican side, the real rage and disenchantment really began during the end of W's presidency. And as the financial crisis, and then you take the financial crisis and you add to that an African-American president coming in, and his health care plan, which was enacted without a single Republican vote, and now the Republicans are going insane. So that anger on the right has never diminished for the last maybe 9 years. It's just stayed or even gotten more intense. And when you take polls of Republicans, like, do you trust the government to do the right thing most of the time, or some of the time, or every once in a while? 20% of Republicans say none of the above. You didn't give me the answer I want. I trust the government to do the right thing. Never. So you have a sizable percentage of Americans who literally do not believe the government will do anything right. That is a total loss of faith in the institution that is to hold us together. That's big. Why are they so angry? They're angry for two major reasons: economic reasons, and that's where they're joined by the left. And people have a reason to be angry. They've watched their standard of living go down. They've watched their economic security disappear. They've watched their children struggle. They have no sense of optimism about the future. You take that economic anxiety, which is a huge driver of anger and discontent, obviously, by itself, but then add to it, if you're a right person on the right wing, add to it the incredible social changes, none of which they're happy about. From same-sex marriage to, I don't know what else is getting them crazy. Same-sex marriage, just in general, the sense that the culture has left them. The fact that whites won't even be, that's a biggie too. Whites are losing power. And the biggest growth in, as we've said, even mortality, let alone poverty, is in white people without college educations. Not that a college education assures you of much of anything these days. Celine and I were talking about all these 20-somethings and even into their 30s and 40s, highly educated people, people with masters and PhDs, people even who are teaching college as adjunct professors, who still have to have 2 other jobs just to put bread on the table. People are scrambling. No job pays a living wage. So you have to have 2 or 3. And as I said, I see it all the time. All the time. This is all this human capital that we're wasting. I'm getting off on a tangent. Anyway, this analysis does say that there is abundant evidence that racial attitudes also play a significant role in today's politics. And that is a result of Barack Obama being elected. So let's not kid ourselves. His election did not bring us together. It blew us apart. So, no wonder, then, that candidates who sound angry, who are acknowledging that rage, are doing so well. So, you still have the potential here of a return to something that looks like normal politics in America. But this analysis says that's not clear that will be the case. This could be a total change because the Republican electorate is substantially different from what it used to be, which means that the result of their primary season could be substantially different as well. Oh, good. Somebody sent me Palin quotes. Okay, I'll try not to be too Palin-esque, but I don't know how I can. Come on up. Okay, we have a Sarah Palin, the quotes from her. Okay, here we go. Okay, well, come on, get to. I'm sorry, my computer's giving me. Okay, here we go. I got to get into Palin mode. Are you ready to make America great again? We all have a part in this. We all have a responsibility. Wait a minute. He is from the private sector. Yay! Not a politician. Can I get a hallelujah? Are you ready for a commander-in-chief? You ready for a commander-in-chief who will let our warriors do their jobs and go kick some ISIS ass? Oh, my God. Pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, strict constitutionality, those things that are unifying values from big cities to tiny towns, from big mountain states and the Big Apple to the big, beautiful heartland that's in between. She said something about wearing something on his sleeve. That's the one I heard that I said, okay, I'm out of here. I cannot. Hey, look back there in the press box. Heads are spinning. Media heads are spinning. Oh, he's going rogue. And, we can laugh at this, but the laughter really, I don't know if that's the right reaction anymore. Looking around at all of you hardworking Iowa families, you farm families and teachers and teamsters and cops and cooks, you rock and rollers and holy rollers. All of you work so hard. You're full-time moms. You with the hands that rock the cradle. Oh, my God. And then on Obama. Weak-kneed capitulator-in-chief. He deciding that America would apologize to the Iranians as part of the deal, as the enemy sends a message to the rest of the world that they capture and we kowtow. And we apologize. And then we bend over and say, thank you, enemy. This goes over well. No more pussyfooting around. Oh, God. Trump's candidacy has exposed not just that tragic, that ramifications of the betrayal of a transformation of our country, but two, he has exposed the complicity on both sides of the aisle that has enabled it, okay? What? The GOP establishment to be coming after Donald Trump supporters, even with accusations that are so false, they are so bushed, they are so busted, the way that this thing works. We, you, a diverse, dynamic, needed support base that they would attack. See, this is war on the establishment, and that's what's feeding these guys. People are wearing political correctness like a suicide vest. So no, we're not going to chill. In fact, it's time to drill. Drill, baby, drill down and hold these folks accountable. The status quo has got to go. Otherwise, we're just going to get more of the same. And with their failed agenda, it can't be salvaged. It must be savaged. And Donald Trump's the right one to do it. I'll tell you this: she got a little bit of a way with words, and they love her. Some of them. Oh my God! I just, oh my God! And you're ready to stop the race baiting and the division based on color and zip code to unify around the right issues? The issues important to me, or I wouldn't be endorsing him. Pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, strict constitutionality. Okay, I already said that one. I can't do any more. Forget it. Thank you guys for sending those. Oh, dear God in heaven. Chuck writes, did you happen to see the clips of Trump reading from the Bible over the weekend? No. Although I heard he said 2 Corinthians and everybody started laughing. Because you're supposed to say what? Second? And he did that in front of Liberty University. Oh! And did you see the head of Liberty University, Jerry Falwell Jr.? Likened him to Jesus. He likened him to Jesus and who else? There was one other. Who would it be? Martin Luther King! That's what it was. Jesus and Martin Luther King. Because he was saying that they spoke truth. It was something like that. And like Jesus and Martin Luther King. Oh my God. Anyway, Chuck says, so he's reading the Bible and I think I'm watching a Saturday Night Live skit. If the Christian right supports Trump, it won't be because of his ability to quote scripture. He was clearly uncomfortable doing it. Trump may have the support of Sarah Palin, but I can't see Paul Ryan or Mitch McConnell eventually falling in line and supporting him. And without those endorsements, you would have a very fractured party. This GOP convention will be the best reality TV we'll see all season. Well, stop and think what we had there with Palin and him. You had 2 reality stars. That's who you had. One came close to being the vice president of the United States, and the other's going for the big one, president. Hey, Margie, I don't think you meant that. You said Lynn's son was arrested last night? Not my son. I can assure you. I just saw him this morning. He wasn't arrested. He was fine on his way to work. The Slate headline is Sarah Palin's, I can see it here, Sarah Palin's son arrested for punching his girlfriend and possession of gun while intoxicated. Was that last night while she was doing her thing? Well, it's fine. Family values. Monday night. And yeah, and Bristol's had another baby out of wedlock while she continues to be a spokesperson for abstinence.
She was married, no?
You think she's married? I don't think did she marry somebody? I don't know. I don't think so. God almighty, it's like a friggin' nightmare. It's one step up from Honey Boo Boo. And these people are, oh dear God in heaven. Okay. So anyway, also this from the New York Times. Evangelicals, you would think, would not like this guy. Married 3 times, into filthy lucre and not charity and Christian and other wondrousnesses. No. He's leading in evangelicals in every poll, leading Cruz, whose father's an evangelical minister, leading Huckabee, who is an evangelical minister. They love him. Strange kind of religion they got. It's very weird. It's very weird. Oh, God. And meanwhile, they're saying in Hillary Clinton's camp, there's true little bit of deja vu freaking outedness going on. Yeah. Stop and think about it. She thought for sure she was going to win Iowa 8 years ago. She sure as hell did not. She has put everything into Iowa this time. Everything. And she could lose it. Meanwhile, Bernie Sanders has a lead on her in New Hampshire that is like something like 70% to 28. Okay. Now, granted, those 2 states they're white states. They're not representative. They're highly rural. But they're scared. And they are now, off the record, acknowledging that this race, that she ain't going to put him away quickly. They say her campaign is preparing for a primary fight that could well stretch into early May. That would mean, when's the Pennsylvania primary? That would mean, because we're one of the late ones. But if it goes that long, that means that we could have a say. And so those of us who have said, I'll vote for Sanders in the primary, but, I'll vote for Hillary in the general. It could be that if we vote for Sanders in the primary, he's going to be our nominee. You want to rethink that? I don't know. Gee whiz. What?
I just feel bad for poor Bristol.
Oh. Celine's over there empathizing with Bristol. She's not married, is she?
No.
But she's had a second baby.
Yeah.
But she argues for... Will someone give her some birth control pills? It's hardly rocket science. Jeez. She said it was planned. She planned to have the baby out of wedlock.
They were getting married. They called us.
They were getting married, so she wanted a baby, and then they called her. She's brilliant, like her mother. You feel sorry for her? Friggin' train wreck. Okay. So Celine's going to let her off the hook for something that sounds a little like affluenza. Because she comes from that horrible family. How's she supposed to know what the hell to do? Well, I guess so. So I'm watching the BBC with Trump. Oh, my God, is that funny? Here's what's funny. Supposedly we speak the same language. There was a guy who got up. I wrote his name down. Gavin Newlands. He represents the Scottish National Party. I want to tell you something. I don't think I understood a word he said. I turned up the volume on my TV, and I was like, eh? And I closed my eyes at one point, not wanting to be distracted, just to hear what he was saying. I couldn't, every once in a while I get a word. I did not understand him. He was speaking English. Now, I was in Scotland a few years back, and my brother, who spent a lot of time there, has actually a teaching position at St. Andrews, did say to me, now, don't get freaked if you're talking to somebody there and you really don't understand anything they're saying. And I only had one conversation like that, and that was with the guy who was gardening. I didn't understand a word he said. It's so funny when you're speaking the same language. Now, I had the same experience here when I first came to Pittsburgh, literally first came to Pittsburgh. I was flown in here before I actually made the move. It wasn't for an interview. I don't know what the hell that was about. Maybe for me to take a look. It was that would be December of 1980, I think, November or December. And I put up at the Holiday Inn, now deceased and decrepit and boarded up, on the Parkway near Channel 4, across pretty much from Channel 4. And blizzard hits. And I mean a blizzard. The Parkway shut down. Every road shut down. People are coming in, abandoning their cars on the Parkway, and they're sleeping all over the lobby and the dining room of the Holiday Inn. And I thought, gee whiz. And then I turned on the station I was going to work for, WTAE. I thought, let me look at what they're doing with this. Because they can't get anywhere. What are they doing with this? Well, one of the things they did with it is they walked down Ardmore Boulevard to the closest gas station, right off, and it's right next to WTAE. It too now defunct, but still standing there. Pee-wee's Texaco. And there was Pee-wee in all his splendor on my television in my Holiday Inn room. And they're asking him, like, man, and how many PA, blah, blah, blah. I did not understand a word Pee-wee said. Did not. I later got to know the guy. He was a sweetie. And I got to understand him because my ear got attuned to Pittsburghese. But he was classic. And I did not understand a word he said. And when I slogged over, because I couldn't drive, walked over to TAE the next morning to talk to my new boss, I told him, I said, so I watched your news last night. I said, I think you guys need to add subtitles. Because I didn't understand a word that, like, that guy with the gas station was saying. Pee-wee. Nice guy. Anyway, didn't understand a word this Scottish National Party guy was saying either. And then up stands this good-looking black man, member of Parliament. And he's speaking the Queen's English. Looks a little like Idris Elba. Oh, I know. And he's making so much sense. And he essentially said, let's not give him the pleasure, and let's remind ourselves that his nativistic, xenophobic, racist, whatever that he's spouting is nothing new in American politics. And then this guy he knows more about American history than most of us. So this gorgeous black member of parliament starts spouting off parts of American history in which racist politicians were going strong. He talked about the Chinese Exclusion Act. He talked about the Japanese internment. He talked about all these other things that, so clearly. And he said, there's this long line of nativism, and we do not need to give Mr. Trump the biggest boost for his campaign by banning him from the United Kingdom. It was sort of fun to listen to. Anyway, his thoughts prevailed. And somebody got up, and that's when my blood ran cold, because somebody got up and said, we can't do this. He could be elected the president of the United States. That's our major ally. You mean the president of the United States is banned from the United Kingdom? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I can't believe we're even talking like this. That even the Brits are talking like that. We can't ban him. He could be the president. All right. Maybe that's what got me sick. My head began to spin. Okay. Margie says, sorry, I'm walking on my treadmill while I'm listening to you and using my speakerphone. My speaker on my iPhone. So your speaker, well, but you said Lynn. You didn't say Sarah. My son will be suing you for defamation of character. All right, before the show's over, I have to take time to do something very sad. I'm sorry. My obituaries of the day, I'm lighthearted about. I'm just trying to tell you about somebody that none of us really even knew about. But there is an obituary, local obituary, that just breaks my heart. It's one of those ones where you think, what? His name is Jeff Cohen. He was a chiropractor. Not a normal chiropractor. He had his own method. He never cracked anybody's back, never did any of that. It was all trigger point and pressure this and that, and he was. I bet in his lifetime he took away more pain from more people than you can count. And he was so astonishingly good at what he did that people came from all over to him, or they sent their private jets to spirit him away to them. Liza Minnelli did. Olympic athletes did. Renowned orchestra soloists did. Dancers. Anybody whose body was part of their work, they knew this guy was a miracle worker, Jeff Cohen. And then there were, schleps like me. I knew too, lucky me. Roger Kingdom, the gold medalist, Olympian, he had Jeff with him much of the time. Some leading boxers, too. I'm blanking on names. I'm sorry. When you go into his waiting room, it was not unusual to see large men, always Steelers, sitting there. He became very close friends with Elsie Greenwood, who was often in that waiting room. I sort of got to know Elsie Greenwood from being in the waiting room. Nicest guy you'd ever want to know. Full of laughs, full of just the sweetness. And his son called me. When he told me, it's when you hear those things, because he was my age. You just can't. it just takes your breath away. His love was he loved riding horses, he loved being a cowboy, and he spent much of his time out in Montana being a cowboy. He liked to think he was the only Jewish cowboy. I think there were a few others, but he was one of the few. Franco Harris went to him, I know. Weird Al Yankovic went to him. Everybody went to Jeff. What are we going to do now? And, I mean, he just befriended everybody. I don't know if you know the musician Ramblin' Jack Elliott. Was a good friend of his because Ramblin' Jack was playing here once in the 60s or 70s. And, of course, Jeff, I don't know, they ended up in Jeff's van and, things got interesting from there. But they maintained their friendship. Mr. Rogers went to him all the time, and he helped Fred through his death. I believe he went almost every day to Fred's to offer whatever relief he could. What a great guy. And I mean, to think that you spend your life helping people like that, what a wonderful thing. So I was reading his obit, and he said, the end of the obit says, Jeffrey would ask that in lieu of flowers, please do not vote for Donald Trump. Yeah. He had another cute story about when he opened up his practice on April Fool's Day of 1976. He said he had 2 waiting rooms. One where the patients would wait, and one where he would sit and wait for the patients. Jeffrey Cohen. God bless you, Jeff. God bless you. Henry writes, back to the horror of the living, Palin worries me too. If you want to get a sense of the power of Palin, you need only revisit the season of Dancing with the Stars with Bristol as the contestant. She couldn't dance a step to save her life, but she made it to the final 4 on the votes of Palin followers. And Palin will do the same for Trump. Denise says, I wonder how the Second Amendment folks will respond to the argument that that's the son that got arrested, that Track's arrest should disqualify him from owning a gun. They'll say, are you kidding me? Oh, dear. And then I want to bring something to your attention. It's in today's paper in the sports section. I saw it yesterday online. And it's also, I'm so sorry, but it also is a sad story. But it's one that we all have a stake in. And those of you who know my inner turmoil about my love of football and my rage at football, I want to tell you this story. Wasn't too long ago that we were cheering this wonderful young man on, Antwaan Randle L., right? Name ring a bell? Yeah, sure it does. He was great. He retired early, too. Randle L., you might not have remember, but he was through one of the most celebrated passes in Steeler history. Now, granted, the Immaculate Reception was probably the most celebrated pass, and there are a few others, but what he did is in Super Bowl 40, he shocked folks by getting the ball and then throwing it to Hines Ward for a touchdown. And, I mean, it was just like the most brilliant play ever. Antwaan Randle L. That was just 10 years ago. That was 10 years ago. He was such a magnificent athlete. And now, he has trouble walking down the stairs. Here's a quote from him. I have to come down sideways. I have to come down sideways. Going up is easier, actually, than coming down. And it's not just physical, he says. I ask my wife things over and over again, and she's like, I just told you that. I'll ask her 3 times the night before and get up in the morning and forget. I try to chalk it up that I'm busy, I'm doing a lot, but I have to be on my knees praying about it, asking God to allow me to not have these issues and live a long life. I want to see my kids raised up. I want to see my grandkids. He knows what's happening to him. He's 36 years old. He said this to a Post-Gazette reporter. If I could go back, I wouldn't play football. I'd play baseball. I got drafted by the Cubs. But I didn't play baseball. I love the game, of football, but right now, I could still be playing baseball. And he says this. He founded an academy, Virginia Academy. It doesn't have a football team. And he says this to parents. The kids are getting bigger and faster, so the concussions, the severe spinal cord injuries are only going to get worse. It's a tough pill to swallow because I love the game. But I tell parents, you can have the right helmet, the perfect pads, and still end up with a paraplegic kid. There's no correcting it. There's no helmet that's going to correct it. There's no teaching that's going to correct it. It just comes down to it's a physically violent game. Football players are in a car wreck every week. For a guy whose brain is starting to disintegrate, some pretty strong, totally coherent, and truthful words. Antwaan Randle L., who says this. I know this sounds crazy, but right now, I wouldn't be surprised if football isn't around in 20, 25 years. And I'll tell you what else. He won't be either. I'm sorry. Ooh. What can I do here that's not... Rob Rogers is a good cartoon today. It's a bottled water, a bottle of water. It's Flint water. And here's what it says. Enjoy. There's a little asterisk after enjoy, and if you look down, it says... not available in rich white neighborhoods. Enjoy the unique flavor of the Flint River filtered through corroded lead pipes. Quench your thirst for failed leadership and austerity mixed with racism. Warning, may cause hair loss, skin lesions, brain damage, cancer, and class action lawsuits. Oh, Rob, did somebody tell Rob you can't do a class action lawsuit anymore? Supreme Court says you can't. We're everyone by ourselves individually have to take on the big boys. No class actions. Best letter to the editor today. This has to do with, what the Obama administration has managed to do with Iran in the last month or so. All of which has the Republicans declaring, him to be a disaster, destroying the country, blah, 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 blah. John LeBaron of Massachusetts writes this to the editor. Let's see now. American prisoners released. American sailors freed in less than 24 hours. Centrifuges shut down. Enriched uranium supplies shipped abroad. What a catastrophe! The mind reels in imagining what the GOP will spin to vilify this signal achievement of President Obama and Secretary of State John Kerry. All of those are positives. And you would think, what a catastrophe. American prisoners released. American sailors released. Diplomacy actually working. Centrifuges with concrete covers now. Enriched uranium shipped off, well, I'm not wild about where it got shipped, but shipped off nonetheless to Russia. Alternative universes. Okay, speaking of Flint, that story really is amazing. It is amazing. The governor, Tea Party governor, he never held elected. See, they don't like politicians, so they elect guys who had never been politicians, like this guy. He was an accountant. And that's how he's governed. He looks at numbers. He looks at the bottom line. He never looked at the people. I'm not going to pay $100 a day to put some kind of chemical in there that'll keep the lead from leaching into the pipes. Leaching out of the pipes and into the water. That was a financial decision made. We won't know for a long, long time how many children have been brain damaged. Lead is the littlest bit of lead can cause horrible developmental problems in children. Horrible. Pediatricians in Flint started doing blood tests on these kids, and man, their lead in their blood was way over the limit. And the state kept saying, it's fine. To save money, they took their clean water away and made them drink the crap. And everyone knew it was crap. It was an industrial dumping ground. Made them drink the crap in the Flint River. Nobody in Flint voted for him, so that's what you get. You don't vote for me, you ain't my people. I'm not taking care of you. You people don't count. You're poor, you're black. I see you as an accountant as costing me money. Now he's up there. Oi, I'm sorry. Oi, he did not when somebody said this is like your Katrina, he did not say it wasn't. And what was Katrina? It unmasked the total inability of Republicans to take the role of government seriously. There's no sense when you get a Republican in charge of government that it will function because they don't believe in it. And they love to cripple it, to take money from it so it cannot respond when it does need to respond, to denigrate it so that 1 in 5 of all Republicans say they never trust the government will do the right thing. They're drawn to government so that they can help to destroy it. As one of their great leaders says, make it so small we can drown it in a bathtub. You're doing a hell of a job, Brownie. You're doing a hell of a job, Rick. This is Republican governance. It kills. They'd send your sons to war, bang, like that. Some idiot somewhere looks cross-eyed at us, they'll send your kids off to die. Because that's what guys do. Here's what the governor of Michigan said. He said he promised to pray for the people of Flint. That's Republicans' response. It's in God's hands. With a little assist, of course, from us. We're playing the devil here. And so there are all these questions. Why exactly did the state of Michigan decide to switch the water from Lake Huron to the Flint River when they knew damn well that it was a dumping ground? Everybody knew. And then, once the complaints started coming in, it smells, it stinks, it's undrinkable, people are getting sick. Why did it take months and months and months before anybody even deigned to listen, not to act, but to listen? And when did they know about the lead? Apparently they knew about the lead long before anything was done. They knew they were poisoning people. And here's the big question. Hey, you don't think that this would have happened, do you? In a city that was made up of affluent white people? No. But poor black people, this is what you get. That's the truth. He's destroyed lives. Destroyed lives. Oy. Okay, so anyway, here's just one other thing. I just want to ask, because now it turns out that 2 other justices on our illustrious Supreme Court have received some of these emails that were deemed offensive. Now, they didn't send, they received. So I want to say, why is that? I mean, you have no control over who sends you anything. Geez, I get emails that'll curl your hair. I don't see how receiving should be an issue. I don't. Do you? Sending, forwarding, an offensive thing. Yes. But so now they're dragging 2 other justices in, Max Baer and Kevin Doherty, and they never sent anything. they received. Well, I have no control over what you guys send me or anybody else. Oh, okay. Listen, I am so sorry. This is what happens when I'm sick. It's actually not what happens when I'm sick. It's just that, folks, is, as far as I know, what the news was in the last 48 hours. Here's good news. It's warming up. And I think that big storm that's going to hammer the Atlantic coast is not going to hit us. I get the sense we won't get much of anything if we get anything. So that's all I got to say. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Mea culpa. I'll pray for me, okay? I'll pray for you too while I'm at it. And stay warm and stay, I don't know, tuned, I guess. I'll be back in 23, I think. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.